the Peterson report was that Dr. Holliday was ordered to undergo counseling but then refused, correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay. Do you know if Marla Brunei ever separated from the district and then was rehired?
I'm unaware of that. As a result of Mr. Furman's concern to me, or at any time ever in her employment with the district? I'm sorry.
Sorry, we'll start with any time ever and then get to the more specific.
I'm either one, but I just wanted to make sure I was clear.
Okay.
I'm unfamiliar with any.
Based on your knowledge of the Miriam Horowitz report, do you have any knowledge of whether or not she investigated the fraternization accusations?
I don't know.
Okay, were there any conclusions based on the fraternization accusations in that report?
I don't recall seeing any.
Okay. So based on your recollection that you don't recall seeing any, are you able to say whether or not there were any?
Judgment asked and answer.
Yes, in the absence of... I do not recall seeing any.
Okay. And you were present during the discussions with the board about this subject, correct?
Yes.
Okay, what were the nature of the discussions with the board about this subject?
The report by Attorney Horowitz was distributed. It took some time to sort of read the thing. Then the board members reacted to it. I can't remember if they asked any questions specifically of Attorney Horowitz. That's what I recall.
Okay, what was the reaction?
I think the board was frustrated by the findings.
Okay, I'm sorry, what does frustrated with the findings mean to you?
My sense was that board members had method to it. So you can register in advance to speak on a topic remotely, or you can show up.
There's some benefits of being an advocate, which is nobody wants to hear what you have to say.
We're back on after changing memory cards.
Great. All right. I got nothing, but thanks again. It felt like I had a joke coming, but it didn't.
Oh.
It didn't. All right, are we all ready to go back on? Great.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, and I'm sorry, if you would please read out the last question.
What were the comments that made you believe that they were reprotoxicity?
And was there an answer to that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, appreciate it. Now, Dr. Keither sent you a stack of emails, correct?
She forwarded me a number of emails. Yes.
Okay. And you would recognize them if we gave them to you?
You could have checked with the form, causes speculation. How can you say what you can recognize if you haven't given them to them?
Well, you've seen them all before, right? And you read them all.
Yeah, I believe that I have.
Okay. Great. Okay. After January 21st, did you increase your communications with the city attorney's office?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, so you were consulting with them at the same rate that you had with prior?
Yeah, so essentially on a case-by-case basis, whatever question or matter happened to be in front of us. But as I alluded to before, when Attorney Yun had asked, I had discussed to her about the Keither matter, and also Kate Headley at some point, and also Nick Syndrome. But it wasn't like in the days preceding. I'm sorry, in the days subsequent to January 21st of 2021.
Okay, so to put that another way, you didn't consult with the city attorney's office while you were investigating Dr. Keither's complaints?
Correct.
Okay. Subsequent to January 21st, do you consult with the city attorney's office when you are investigating complaints?
I have.
Okay, for what matters?
Other whistleblower concerns?
Tourist Fallerons, for example?
Yes.
Okay, why did you consult with the city attorney's office on Tourist Fallerons?
There was a concern that she had raised that she had been denied a promotional opportunity.
Okay.
And I was seeking some advice as to whether or not whatever I was able to obtain through my investigation, if that would substantiate it or not.
Okay. Based on your understanding that Dr. Posley and Mr. Furman communicated with the city attorney's office prior to involuntarily transferring Dr. Keither, did that affect your communications with the city attorney's office regarding the Dr. Keither investigation?
Can you say that again?
Based on your understanding that Dr. Posley and Mr. Furman communicated with the city attorney's office prior to involuntary transferring Dr. Keither, did that affect your communications with the city attorney's office regarding the Dr. Keither investigation?
I'm just gonna interject an objection, misstates the prior testimony and assumes facts, therefore it's argumentative.
I don't recall. I don't recall.
Okay. Well, is there a conflict for the city attorney's office to be giving advice on how to involuntarily transfer somebody and giving advice on how to conduct investigations?
Objection calls for speculation, also calls for a legal conclusion and lack of foundation.
I'll join that.
Great. And to clarify that, by conclusion or conflict, I don't mean a attorney-client conflict or something else along those lines. I'm asking if there are at opposite positions.
Same objection.
Great.
Yeah, I've wondered how procedurally a firewall is created to have separation in one office when those concerns come in that way.
Did you ever discuss that with the city attorney's office?
Oh, I don't recall. I don't recall.
Okay.
Subject in terms of attorney-client privilege communications.
I'll join that objection.
Okay. Well, do you ever check with the city attorney's office prior to consulting them on an investigation whether or not they have advised management on a course of action related to that investigation?
Objection calls for attorney-client privilege communications.
Yeah, I'll join that objection. You're asking him to talk about communication that he's had with the city attorney's office, who is the attorneys for MPS. So you're asking him to divulge attorney-client information. So we will object to that.
Can you repeat the question?
Well, do you ever check with the city attorney's office prior to consulting them on investigation whether or not they have advised management on a course of action related to that investigation?
I have not done that.
Okay. Why not?
Because I was relying on a disclosure by whomever I had reached out to tell me if there was any conflict.
Okay. Do you now believe that reliance to be misplaced?
Objection calls for speculation.
I don't think so.
Do you tell MPS whistleblowers that you may consult with the city attorney's office with regard to their investigation?
Yes.
do you tell MPS whistleblowers that the city attorney's office may have consulted in retaliation against them?
I have not had that conversation with whistleblowers.
Okay. And again, the involuntary transfer of Dr. Keither would have been retaliation based on your understanding, correct?
That's how that was the conclusion of my investigation.
Right, and we've also learned that Dr. Posley, Mr. Furman, and others consulted with the city attorney's office prior to involuntarily transferring or retaliating against Dr. Keither, correct?
That's my understanding from Exhibit 3.
Okay, and does that...
Oh, no, I'm sorry, that I cited the wrong exhibit through a previous exhibit.
I guess it's 4, does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay. So now, based on that information, do you believe it's misplaced to consult the city attorney's office regarding whistleblower investigations?
Check the foundation.
This question's been asked and answered in varying different ways.
It makes me reflect on how I can ensure the integrity of the process that I'm supposed to follow under policy.
Okay. Are you aware that of whether Jenny Juan authored the MPS position statement in Dr. Keither's case?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you feel like you ever knew?
Objection, argument. He just said he didn't know.
That's an answer.
So just for everybody's clarification, there's several kinds of I don't know. There's one is I don't know today. There's another one that I used to know but I don't know today. And there's another one where I knew at some point but I don't know today. So we're trying to figure out what exactly he was. Okay? I don't know how you prep people, but that's something we often go over. So based on that understanding, you able to answer that question, sir?
Yeah, I don't recall if I ever knew. I know that I spoke to that attorney about the Keither matter, but I just don't know if she authored, what was it, the statement? Is it the
Position statement.
Position statement.
Did
I just don't recall.
Great. Did Dr. Keither send you the position statement, if you recall?
Yes, she did. She did send that to me.
Okay, and you would have read it at that time, correct?
Yes, that is correct. But even now I don't recall whose name appeared on there as the author. I'm sorry.
Okay, but so it's fair to say that when she sent you the position statement, you were aware at that time, correct?
Yes, I would have known who the author was at that time. Yes.
Okay, but now you don't.
I don't recall it.
Okay. It's great to be clear. I appreciate that. So, yeah, and this is Jenny Yuan was at Central Services on January 21st, correct?
I believe she was.
Okay. Great. Now, without a conflict, stating a conflict of interest, are you able to state whether or not you believe there was a conflict there between the directions given by the city attorney's office and their participation in the investigation?
Objective form calls lack of foundation, calls for a legal conclusion.
Can you read that back, please?
I'll ask another question.
I'm sorry.
Not at all. Based on your understanding, do you believe that the city attorney's office participated in the decision to involuntarily transfer Dr. Keither?
Objective foundation, also vague, calls for speculation.
I mean, based on the statements of Mr. Furman, they had some involvement.
Okay. So, it's also fair to say that the city attorney's office, the position statement of the city attorney's office, was them advocating on behalf of the city, correct?
Object, argumentative.
I guess advocating on behalf of the board, who is their legal client.
Appreciate that. Okay. Do you know at this time who the city attorney office that city attorney was that Dr. Posley had communicated with about the involuntary transfer of Dr. Keither?
I'm going to object. argumentative, assumes facts.
I believe when we discussed this exhibit, my speculation was that it was Robin Pedersen.
Okay. And to be clear, that's the same Robin Pedersen who authored the Peterson report.
Yes.
Okay. You said there was outside investigation into the Calvin Furman's complaints, correct?
Yes.
Okay, was there any outside investigation of Dr. Keither's complaints?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Do you believe that anybody from the city attorney's office investigated Dr. Keither's complaints?
My presumption is that they would have investigated in response to the ERD complaint.
Okay, but not, James Carroll didn't investigate it prior to that?
I don't have any knowledge of that.
Okay. But Dr. Keither might have shared emails from you regarding that investigation?
I'm gonna check the form, it calls for speculation, which he might have done, this is speculative.
Can you say that again?
But Dr. Keither might have shared emails from you regarding that investigation?
With whom?
James Carroll.
Same objection.
That's possible.
Okay. Do you know where James Carroll works today?
I don't know. I know he was definitely employed at the city attorney's office at one point.
With the what? With the city?
I know he was definitely employed at the city attorney's office at one point, but I couldn't tell you where he is today.
Could he be employed at Beulah Vetter, for example?
I
Objection
don't.
call for speculation, said doesn't know.
I don't know.
Okay. Let's just see here. Wow.
75% recovery.
Wow. What's the date? The 25th. Okay. Give me some documents here.
Wow. This is the stamp.
Okay. Do them. So I'm gonna hand you a stack of emails.
Yep. No problem. Give me one moment.
It would be Exhibit 6.
Do you have copies of all those for everyone?
We don't.
Oh, wow.
You can take them.
Are we supposed to share with him? Or is this...
No.
I'm not gonna do the. We're not going through this line by line.
Well, I'm not, and I'm also sure you're not going to say, like, do you recognize all these documents, right? I mean, because otherwise it'll take.
That would take some time.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can cut through that in some way or another, but we'll see how it goes. So, Dr. Keither shared with you many emails, as you testified already, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and you would be able to identify all those emails?
Certainly those in which they are addressed to me. I mean, definitely.
Okay, so you'll admit that all of the emails that she sent that were addressed to you that you received and in the normal course of MPS business?
Yes.
Okay, great. I think we can cut through that.
Can you read that back?
Okay, so you'll admit that all of the emails that she sent that were addressed to you, that you received, were the normal course of MPS business.
Okay. And would that also include one sent to your Roadrunner account as well?
I believe everyone that was sent, I received.
Okay. Meaning everyone that was Dr. Keither sent to you on your private Roadrunner account, you received every one of those.
I'm going to reject the found speculation.
Well, I'm trying to understand what you just said, sir.
Yeah, if Dr. Keither had sent something and for whatever reason there was a denial of service or undeliverable or something, I wouldn't know that, but otherwise I should have received it then.
Okay, so within those parameters.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so okay. So, throughout this period of sometime after her meeting with Calvin Furman, which I believe is on October 6th, she communicates with you for the first time again in that year.
Check the form.
Say that again?
So, you testified earlier that Dr. Keither had contacted you in 2019, and then she contacted you again in 2020, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And do you believe that second contact was after she met with Dr. Calvin Furman?
After their meeting in October, yes, but before the meeting in which she was involuntarily transferred.
Okay. So it's fair to say that's also the time period where she made an ERAD complaint against Dr. Saffold, correct?
Yes, I believe that was made in November of 2019.
Okay. So she is simultaneously then making a complaint to you. Is that right?
Or the complaint to me precedes the one to ERAD.
Fair enough. I appreciate that distinction. So during that time, you are in, for lack of a better word, lifetime communication with Dr. Keither. Is that correct?
There are frequent touch points with Dr. Keither.
Okay, but in fact, you're meeting with her on an everyday basis. Is that right?
Oh, if it wasn't every day, it was many days.
Okay. When did that nearly everyday contact begin?